Hey, gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
What's happening?
What's
Hello,
happening?
hello.
I want to make sure we get this right. Mitchell and Phil, did I get it right? You're the Butcher Brothers. I like the
Correct.
branding.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been around for a while. We our first feature came out 2004, Mitch?
2006.
6. Okay, whatever.
Released
There you go.
2006.
Released. There you go.
Tell us about Consumed. It's a new horror film that is coming out soon. I think is it this weekend?
The 16th. So Friday. Not this Friday, the following Friday.
So Friday, August 16th, Consumed is out there. I'll say this. Horror is one of my favorite genres. I love horror. You see a lot of the same kind of storytelling. What makes a good horror film for me is the tone. And that's where you guys, dude, you took me on a trip. So tell me about this film and what you did to kind of get that tone where I'll just say at the very least without going, it's very unsettling.
Thank you. I guess I'll go first. I mean, that's what we want to accomplish. When we got the script from David Calvert, the writer, we saw an opportunity to do something where it's not only a fun thrill ride of a creature feature with with a couple out in the woods, but we were able to really dive into the story about a woman who's battling cancer. And, it really actually became a lot more about that. And, obviously as the Butcher Brothers, we added in our staple, the scares and the gore and all that. But it really kind of resonated with us, starting with David, who wrote the script, who dealt with cancer, of a parent, and we've all dealt with it, of loved ones. So it really really turned into something more of what we've been calling, cosmic horror, because it's really this, internal battle that our main character is dealing with, and that became more important.
Yeah, it's the real demons, so to speak, came out.
Correct, yeah.
And you used a lot of special effects. Tell me about the effects.
Yeah, like Mitch was saying, with David's screenplay, he had embedded in this creature that was very descriptive. He had a good idea of what he was thinking ahead of time, and that informed us what we should create. It's a lot of practicals. I don't know if that came off or not on the screen, but that was kind of the joy of it, was going back and leaning on those old styles of practical, especially in the woods. You want to kind of use like this old formula, 3 characters in the middle of the woods, keep it as tight and as real as possible. So that was the genesis of it. And a Wendigo by nature is cannibalistic, so that was what was ingrained in the design of the monster. Jim Ojala's company really helped with the design. Mitch and David had some really great concepts, and then they kind of took it to the next step.
Tell me about the practical effects in terms of pulling those off. Like, are you a fan? You kind of work with both with digital?
Obviously, growing up, you could see the gray. So, practical effects, it just means something to us. It's something that is so passionate about. Honestly, it's also it's difficult, where it's a challenging thing where nowadays, right, you can, I hate this, but there really is a let's fix it in post kind of mentality when you're 12 hours on a shoot and whatnot. We really tried to stick to, working with the practicals because it's something we love. I think it comes off a lot more, natural, but it's tough. You just doing an independent film. There's things that you got to say, hey, well, we got to maybe fix that or this or that. But for the most part, we really, tried, because it's great. Practical effects are just amazing.
Does it make it easier for the actors just had those things there?
I think so. What do you think? I mean, sure, they're acting against something. But
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, I remember on one film, I'm not going to name the film, but there was an actress who had she had to leave early. So one of our main actors had to speak to a gray space, basically, there was nobody there. And I was like, just imagine you're on that green screen talking to a giant blob, and she's like, okay, I think I get it now. But it's not the same thing, right? It's like you have no eye contact, there's no emotion. It's difficult, and the actors who do that every day in all these giant films, of course, we give them kudos and credits. I think they would probably much rather be on a real set where things are interactive for them.
I'm sorry, my horror is dealing with terrible internet right now, but that's okay. Hey, we've got almost 3,000 people watching live. We've got questions and comments in our chat, so we'll get to those comments in a moment. And questions. Tell me about what some of the challenges are. I mean, I think that we're like about to enter a new golden age of indie film. Hollywood is entering a phase where they're spending way too much money on these movies, and profits are thin for Hollywood now. So things are shifting, and we're seeing like horror is a solid genre, and horror is, for the most part, generally low budget. I mean, you can make something under 10 mil. Talk about like Talk to Me last year, a big hit from A24, among so many others. So tell me about that. Like, we're entering like a new phase of a celebration of indies, in particular horror, which is a beloved genre for me and a lot of people.
I mean, you really kind of hit it there. It's a genre that's so loved, and you're right. You can do so much with it. When we got this script, XYZ was behind us, who, they do quite a bit of amazing, genre work, and supported us all through, from the script to screen, basically. And you do realize, you're like, look, when you have good people behind a good project, you just don't need all that money thrown here. It's just like, you just need that will and the talent. And we were out in the woods with 3 people, a very talented cast, led with Devin Sawa and Courtney Halverson. And we just went out there and made a good movie. Now, there were their challenges. Every film has extreme challenges when you don't have money to throw at stuff. But you're right. You're seeing some of the best stuff. I mean, Talk to Me. I was a huge fan of Barbarian, and I really, really liked Late Night with the Devil. I thought that was,
I love it.
Just I'm floored watching that.
Yeah. Just to add on top, Skinamarink, Long Legs. What's great about horror, the genre, is that we never stop wanting to be afraid. And I think that it's getting easier and easier to make independent films. Now, getting distribution might be a whole different thing, but I feel like that the OnlyFans world, if that continues expanding, it might be a self-distribution scenario that we're looking at. So it's just a matter of how many looks, likes, follows, all that stuff that we don't always love, but we know it's part of the filmmaking process to get your film seen. And I think we're going to see so much great raw talent out there. We can appreciate a studio if they can understand the creativity behind it, but a lot of times it's a mess. We see what happens on screen.
Is that the biggest challenge you face going forward? The whole distribution angle of things?
I think so. We've been around for a long time. We've been very fortunate in our career where, our first film, The Hamiltons, it was a film shot for pennies. I'm not kidding, pennies. And it was distributed by Lionsgate. And then, we've done studio work and have always kind of gravitated back to indie filmmaking, because just as you both are, saying, it's you have more control, and I feel like you can really put out what you want to put out. But yes, distribution is always a question mark. We've been very fortunate, but and now it becomes harder and harder. Even when you see things like Netflix, when Netflix came around, you're like, oh, great, they're making movies. But now, they're very high profile with, massive budgets. And the distribution stream is getting smaller and smaller. But I think if you do something that's good, and what Phil pointed out, I think there's going to be more streaming avenues that will present themselves. So it's, there's good and bad.
We've got a lot of comments here and questions for you guys. So let's start from the top here. From Dark Horror Fanatic here. We need new horror by talented creatives. Solomon Thornton, greetings, Butcher Brothers. Any advice for beginning filmmakers?
I think it leans on exactly what we were just talking about. Just very quickly, because I'm sure Mitch, you have some stuff to say too. But Mitch and I started by just getting our friends together and shooting them with crappy VHS cameras. That was the beginning. And I think nowadays you have so much more available to you. And I don't know how old or young you are. It doesn't matter. I think if you've got a great idea, it will sail through. Look at what's happening in the theaters with horror. It's amazing what's happening. And it's blowing doors. There's a ton of creative work and a ton of creative talent attached. And I guess I'll just say on top of that, you don't always need talent attached. You just need a great story.
I second that. The story, shoot within your means, and you do have like when Phil and I did start, it was really difficult to get a film to look good, and everything was so expensive. Now you can shoot something on an iPhone, and but it really comes down to that story. Just shoot. All of a sudden, do you have a car chase going on, or just keep it? And that's why horror is such a great genre to start with.
Krizik says, love your work, the Hamiltons. Thanks, Krizik. Mark Hayes, congratulations on becoming the new Dr. Doom.
Yeah, he's the alternate universe Dr. Doom. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Patrick Lemire, do horror scenes impact the crew's appetite at craft services during a shoot? I mean, if you shoot something really gross, does it affect they're eating at all?
I don't know. Everybody's always usually pretty hungry.
No one gives a F about what's happening in front of the camera. They're hungry, man, when that bell rings.
All right. From Adelis 24 on Rumble, we've got 700 people watching on Rumble. Was there an experience you pulled from your personal lives or from people in terms of the cancer angle of the film and the horror that it injects into an average person's life? I mean, I think everyone has had some experience with cancer. It sucks.
This is a great question, and yes, very much so. So David Calvert, the writer, experienced it with a parent, which drove him to write the script. Both Phil and I, have dealt with it and dealing with it with loved ones, very close, immediate, family, and so and a lot of people in the core filmmaking group. We all have dealt with it. So it became this kind of group effort of like, we all really felt it. And that's why this, Consumed, as much as it is as I said in the beginning, a fun, adventurous thrill ride of a creature feature, it really gets deep. I mean, it really, the core of this movie is about our main character's battle with cancer, and that was the most important thing that we want to bring out of the script. Beyond anything else, it's really the angle is taking on this fight with cancer, because it's really important to from David to Phil to myself and a few other people.
Question from Krizik: Do you ever have issues with handling pickup shots at different times of the day when working in an environment this heavy canopied forest? Do you need to find? Do you find you need to CC and GS a lot? I don't know, what is CC and GS. I'm confused on that. But pickup shots, is that an issue?
I don't think so. I think for me, it's only I mean, I don't know, Phil, if you have a different idea. Like pickup shots, like if you do them kind of right around the, if you're doing pickup shots shortly right after you shoot, it's fine. If you have to pick them up, which we've done before, 6 months later, yes, it's hell. But you could usually match stuff nowadays, and if you got a really good team, they're going to be able to match everything. And now technology is so advanced that it's easy. But it's more of like, oh great, we did a film which was the sequel to the Hamiltons called The Thompsons, and we shot part of it in the United States, and then we flew out to the UK. And one of our actors, who was 13 at the time, when we got to the UK, which was to resume filming, he like basically grew like 6 inches and his voice dropped, and we had to deal with that.
No.
It's it's just part of life.
So he was sucking helium the rest of the shoot. And just to add to one thing I remember one of our fellow filmmakers did. He just had, and this happens a lot too, even for consumed. But if you're writing to keep your characters in the same wardrobe the entirety, it can make pickups easier. Just because it's simpler. That's a very simple thing, but there you go.
Oh, I never thought of that. Just wear the same clothes.
Yeah.
Right. And last question here from the nerd far away. Hail, Butcher Brothers. How do you think music affects a film? Do you think having incidental music available for actors helps during filming? And I will say the sound design for the movie is exceptional. But what do you think about that?
Well, unfortunately, on set with the actors, there's no music. They may be listening to something in their headphones or whatnot, but once we start shooting, once sound is up, it's absolutely dead quiet. So unless we absolutely know that there's going to be a song in the and we're doing playback. So it's usually up to the actors, whatever they're listening to on their headphones, beforehand. But afterwards, yeah, I mean, music and the score is huge.
Yeah, it's another character. That's exactly what it is. I'm trying to think if we've ever. No.
Holy Ghost people, we had the live band playing.
Yeah, that set a tone for. We had like a lot of extras in Tennessee. There were probably, what do you think, 50 or 60 extras more?
Yeah.
And we had had converted a barn into a church, and had a live band playing, music that it definitely set the tone for everyone getting excited and having the spirit in them. We had snakes out there, so it does something. I think like Mitch is saying though, the hard part is everyone has a different technique. Actors usually how they get into their process, so any disturbance can ruffle them. So I'm sure some directors do, and they blast whatever they want to blast that day to get everyone in the mood, and some are like no.
Well, thank you for talking to us. Consumed is out August 16th, Friday. Look for it. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the show today, and congrats on the movie. And come back.
Yeah.
The next film.
Absolutely. We have more things in the works. Hopefully we start shooting something next year, but we definitely will keep you informed on what the Butcher Brothers do next.
All right.
Thanks
Thanks so much.
Yeah, guys, appreciate it.
Take care. Keep butching.
Yes. Always keep butching.
All right. Later.